Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, here for Talk Sport as well as True Hill Heat. And I am with the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, the ROH Women's World Champion. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to speak to you. You are a very busy woman. You got a lot going on, coming off of Impact Rebellion from over this past weekend. No, I can no longer call you the champ, unfortunately. How was that great match that you had, by the way? Just wanted to let you know with Taya Valkyrie for the Reina de Reyes AAA championship. How is it coming out of there? No longer the champ coming out of Rebellion.
I actually just looked. I was going to grab the Ring of Honor belt, but it's a little too far for me to grab while we're on the phone. I'm still the champ, so that still makes me better than 99% of people. So I'll take it.
This is very true, very true. So it was a hard fought matchup. You know, Taya is someone that you defeated on her way out of Impact Wrestling back in 2021. How was it, like, the difference between facing her back in January of 2021 and then, you know, her time away and then her first match back with Impact Wrestling in over a year?
Yeah, I think that she's just in this like renewed place of her career where she's like, I just want to do all the crazy things and I don't want to regret anything and I want to go out there and like just steal the show. So it was fun to work with her because I feel like, anytime you get to be a little bit of a part of that for anyone is great. But I understood where she was coming from because I was very much in that same place when I started at Impact. So to be able to give that back a little bit and, she gave it to me on her way out. When I defeated her at Hard to Kill last year, it was nice to be able to come full circle with it. And, she has such a long history with the AAA Reina de Reinas championship and just like Lucha Libre in itself. So, I, as much as it sucks to not be the champ anymore, I don't think that there's a better fit champion to take that belt for me than Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah, you, like I said at the beginning of the interview here, you are so busy with your obligations for AAA. You got Triple Mania coming up, but you've really been the face of Impact Wrestling, and you got the big event Under Siege coming up on May 7th. What do you think is going to be like your goal and what you're going after? I know you have your sights set on regaining the Impact Knockouts World Championship held by Tasha Steelz now. What is your next goal in Impact Wrestling?
Ooh, I'd love to become a 3-time Knockouts champion for sure. We have the Knockouts World Tag Team Champions that I would love to hold those championships at some point. I just need to find myself a tag partner. And there's one particular woman that I love to be partners with here at Impact. We have our Digital Media Championship. There's a ton left for me to do.
But you also mentioned there the Knockouts tag team titles. Who would you have as your tag team partner? I know you have a best friend that works with Impact Wrestling, but who would it be that you would team up with?
It would be my best friend, Chelsea Green. Absolutely. We have such great women in our locker room, but I don't have a sister, and I've said this a bunch about her, but if I had to imagine what it's like to have a sister, mine and Chelsea's relationship, I feel, is like that. She's someone that like can complete my thoughts without me even having to say them, and is someone I spend every single day with. So there's no one better to get in the ring with. On top of, we tried it once before and we're told it wouldn't work. So it's always fun to prove some people wrong and have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. But yeah, I was just saying that, I'd love to become a 3-time Knockouts champion. I think there's a lot of gold left in my future at Impact. So I might be busy, but, I have my sights set on doing a lot more here.
The Knockouts division, you've honestly, like I said, you've been the face, the mainstay over there, and they're so talented. It's one of the best women's divisions out there, but there's been a lot of conversation about women's wrestling. What do you think that Impact Wrestling stands out in the women's wrestling kind of landscape across professional wrestling right now?
I think that the Knockouts division has always stood out atop women's wrestling. I mean, they were getting the ratings and the highest ratings on Spike TV back in the day. Women were being given hardcore matches and opportunities to be focal points of the show and in main events. And storylines that carried through longer than 2 or 3 weeks. So the knockouts have such a legacy already for being ahead of the curve in women's wrestling that being a knockout, you feel that legacy and like you have to do right by it. But I also think that what makes us unique is that we continue to push those boundaries. And, Mickey and I had the first ever Knockouts pay-per-view main event. Jordan and I were a part of the first ever Knockouts 30-minute Iron Man match. There's still ground to be broken. And collectively as a roster, we are all so diverse in what we do, but we all see where women's wrestling can still go and how much further we can push it and want to be able to do that. But then also we have, Scott D'Amore and Gail Kim, who, obviously Scott is in charge of everything and Gail has been agenting and producing with us. But, we have Madison Rain in the back, who was a part of those, the glory days of the knockouts when they were establishing what a knockout would be. And they help us push that narrative further every single day. So without their guidance and without their support, none of it would be possible. So the fact that it's a real collaboration between the roster girls and the office wanting to see the knockouts division be pushed further and further is what makes us so unique.
Yeah, I love hearing that, just when you have the support of the people backstage who are, in management and they're supporting you ladies so much. And so we hear a lot of talk in professional wrestling about pillars. Who would you say, along with yourself, of course, including yourself, as the pillars of the Knockouts division currently?
Oh, currently, I would say myself. I could not name Tasha. I could not name Tasha Steelz. She is the current Knockouts champion. I think that you would have to put Mickey up there for what she's done over the last, almost year that she's been with us at Impact. I think that Rosemary needs to go up there too, because she is just a consistent, amazing storyteller and consistent polarizing character on our weekly television that fans really, really love. So if I could only pick 4, I'd pick those 4. But I think that then there's Jordan Grace, who's breaking boundaries between going and having knockouts matches, but then also contending for the tag titles with, W. Morrissey. She's just a beast in her own right, in the fact that she loves to do the intergender thing and carries that through from a match with me to a match with a guy and has no trouble interchanging back and forth. So, she would have to be up there. I think everyone has their own claim to it, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, you mentioned one of the living legends that's on Impact currently, and Mickie James. And in my opinion, you two had one of the best rivalries of 2021 that, circled into this year. What did you learn the most working with someone as experienced as Mickie James?
I think I don't know if I could pick one thing, right? I think that it was just such a learning curve for me the whole time, because a lot of what I have gotten to do on TV the last 2 years has been things I'm doing for the first time. So, prior to me coming to Impact, I was never on weekly television. I never had storylines on television. I was never heavily featured in doing backstage promos and in these feuds, right? And it wasn't until Mickie that I really got to sink my teeth into something. So I think I just learned more so how I would react and how the virtuoso would react to these situations. I felt really strongly once I lost the Knockouts Championship at Bound for Glory about having a character identity change, and that all the gear that I've had up until this point was championship gear, championship jackets and gear that I wore while I was on top, and the virtuosa is so distraught she would not wear that anymore. And unfortunately my gear maker just didn't come through, so that's why we went with black jeans and a t-shirt. But I think things like that worked for the attitude change I was trying to convey. And I think just little things like that, and just knowing why I have an opinion and fighting for my opinion for other people to see it through and see that, okay, that could work, because they didn't think the jeans and the t-shirt would work. And I was like, let me just try. And, I had some people like, okay. And I think that it really conveyed exactly what I wanted it to. So I think Mickie's taught me the most to just continue to believe in myself and fight when I think things are right, and fight for my opportunities.
And you've been getting plenty of opportunities, becoming the ROH Women's World Champion. You defeated Roxy back in January. How was that journey? Because I've heard a couple of interviews with you talking about, right before that matchup, how important it was to you, because you're kind of was a pillar for ROH's women's division. You had the first women's match for that company in nearly a decade back in 2015. And then, almost 7 years later to win that championship. What did that mean to you?
Everything. It was really special to me because I fought for that championship to be just like a figment of someone's imagination, and for someone to see the vision that myself and other women, that helped create the Women of Honor division back then. We saw a championship, we saw a division, we saw this vision for what Women of Honor could be that no one else saw. And it was for years, until I left Ring of Honor before I went to NXT. For 3 years, I fought. And I could not tell you the amount of emails that I sent to Joe Koff with like data from our YouTube and from our Twitter and from Instagram being like, look, people really want to pay attention to this. And we need to, women's, if we're the best wrestling on the planet, women are included in that. And here's why, and here's the statistics. And like, I fought way beyond just fighting in the ring for Women of Honor to be something that someone believed in other than myself and Mandy and a few other people. And for better or for worse, I got what I wanted. So it was a very long journey. But I think everything happens for a reason. And, the place that Ring of Honor was in when I won the Women of Honor, the Ring of Honor Women's Championship was a bit uneasy. We didn't know what was to come. And I think that I was, if I could say this about myself, I was the best fit to carry the division in such an unknown time period. And now I'm carrying the championship onto AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. So, this 7-year journey has really come full circle to me. And like, I'm wrestling is the only thing that makes me really emotional. And I already have had to cry about it.
And it's very like apropos everything that's like transpired leading up to Wednesday. You have your showdown with the interim ROH Women's World Champion, Mercedes Martinez. What was your thoughts on Mercedes being crowned the interim champion due to the whole scheduling conflict during WrestleMania 38 weekend?
Yeah, you know what, I think that it was important for a champion to be crowned, especially, we're going into a new era of Ring of Honor. And whether it's me or Mercedes, like someone's going to come out on top. So I think showcasing women on Supercard of Honor was the right thing to do 100%. And I would have been upset had I not do it and then there was no women's match. So if that means having to prove to Mercedes Martinez and the world that I'm the real Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, then I'm more than happy to do that. That's exactly what I plan to do on Wednesday, is to carry a piece of the old Women of Honor, what it was, into this new Ring of Honor and new women's division.
And this has to be considered the biggest women's match for the ROH Women's World Champion. It's going to be in front of so many fans, and it's going to be in Baltimore, a place that was like kind of the home base for ROH. Like, do you kind of look back on like the 7-year journey from having that first matchup in over a decade for Ring of Honor, and now you're going to be in front of like millions of people on national TV against Mercedes Martinez to determine an undisputed champion? What does this match and this, facing someone as much of a legend as you in professional wrestling as Mercedes Martinez on Dynamite in Baltimore on Wednesday?
It wasn't until you just said it to me, and I've talked about, it's Baltimore all day. But for some reason, I just realized that the first Women of Honor match, it was myself versus Mandy Leon, July 25th, 2015. In Baltimore. So it's real full circle. And that just kind of gave me chills when I thought about it. But yeah, I mean, I could cry talking about it, honestly. It's so full circle. And what's crazy too is like, I was supposed to be a part of All In, which became was the precursor to what became AEW. So, it's been a really long journey for me to get to this point. And that's why I keep saying my long awaited AEW debut. I'm excited. And then I'm even more excited because AEW and Impact have had this on and off relationship that we didn't really get to see women be a part of. And I was very vocal about wanting to be a part of that and wanting to be that first woman to step through the forbidden door to AEW. So it's full circle in so many different ways. And the fact that I get to represent that old Ring of Honor, that old Women of Honor in this new Ring of Honor. And then also I get to wave that Impact Wrestling banner in one more place around the world. I'm really, if you could be proud of yourself, I'm very proud of myself for the last 2 years and the way it's gone and what's to come.
Well, as someone else from the East Coast, I'm from New York City. I'm proud of you being a Jersey girl, being from the East Coast.
Yeah.
I told you right before we started this interview, I met you back in like 2015, 2018, and you've been on a hell of a journey. And, you're going through the forbidden door to AEW on AEW Dynamite. And you've said a couple of names before, and you've mixed it up with a couple of ladies over there. You've defeated the current AEW Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa. You've already defeated Mercedes Martinez. Who is some of the ladies that you would like to face in an AEW ring if you're able to have more than this one match after you do become the undisputed ROH Women's World Champion?
It's been talked about so much. Obviously, I want to get in the ring with Britt Baker. Not only is she my very best friend, but she is still, champion or not, the face of the AEW women's division. So I think it would be really interesting to see, who comes out on top, who's the real face of women's wrestling, maybe. But then also she's my best friend. So it puts another level and dynamic to it when you account for our friendship and the things we've been through and how we've traveled together and gotten to this point together. So she's definitely like the number one dream match, but I think, Layla Hirsch is incredible. I think, Chris Statlander is so freaking good. Red Velvet, I've wrestled Kiera Hogan a little bit when she was with Impact, but not very much. So I'd love to do that again. I mean, there's so many women. And, I don't know what Wednesday holds afterwards and if I'm going back or not, but I think that seeing women be a part of this forbidden door is super exciting and there's so many possibilities to come.
And I can't wait to see what's going to come out of this. But like I said, I've seen a couple of your interviews before, and you in particular popped me on one of your interviews where you said one of your dreams is to meet Snooki. And you said this being a Jersey girl. I'm a huge Jersey Shore fan. So if you had to cast the Jersey Shore of professional wrestling, who would be? Because I know you're Snooki. I know you said Chelsea Green is JWoww. So who would be Reina? Who would be Vinny? Who would be the Situation? Who would be Paulie?
Gosh. I never thought about this before.
It could be Impact Wrestling. It could be an AEW, Ring of Honor. It doesn't matter. In the wrestling landscape, who would you cast as the wrestling Jersey Shore?
So I don't know who's who. Right. But I think that, the group of us is me and obviously my fiance, Steve Macklin, Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona, Britt Baker and Adam Cole. That's kind of like our group. So we don't get to do a lot together because obviously we're all busy and things like that. But we try to pick, whether it's my birthday or someone's birthday every year of a way for us all to sit down and have dinner together. We all watch, the Royal Rumble together and things like that. So I think that is who I would cast for the Jersey Shore of pro wrestling. I think it would just be like my best friends. I think it would be really entertaining.
I would love to see that we need to book that. We need to go to the television companies and get that done. You just mentioned your fiance Steve Macklin. I want to say congratulations getting engaged. And you've said you said in the past you've been waiting for a husband to kind of like you want to start a family eventually. What do you see as like your kind of your goals as far as like when do you want to like start a family? How long do you see yourself in professional wrestling now that you have Steve with you?
It's so funny that you bring that up because I saw the other day someone tweeted like, oh, Deonna's in college, which is true. But once she gets her degree, she's retiring because her real passion is teaching. And I was like, Good to know about myself. That's awesome. I think that I am just on such a high right now. I'm on the run of my life. And I don't want to put a timeline on when I'd like to retire or settle down or step away, because I really think right now, if I was to do that, tomorrow or in 3 weeks or whatever, I would regret it. So I don't know. Steve and I are set to get married in November. And then, I keep saying to him 2, 3, 4 years, maybe. But it's really just going to be, where life takes me and where wrestling takes me. And, I'm set to finish my degree this time next year. So nothing really can happen for the next year at the very least. But, I have no plans to retire anytime soon, and no real plans to settle down with any set timeline.
I love it. I love it. Just, go, you're on the run of your life, like you said. So keep pushing ahead. And what do you think about Steve's time in Impact Wrestling? Because he's been killing it. Like at Rebellion, he picked up a huge victory over Impact mainstay in Chris Sabin and one of the biggest stars in New Japan, Jay White. What do you think about his run since he's come over to Impact Wrestling?
I think he's so much like me in terms of like, he just had this potential that no one saw in him, besides himself. So to see him, get released from WWE, and then, unfortunately, he didn't have an independent background. Like when he was signed to NXT back in, I think it was 2014, he had done like 2 indie shows. And then he did a seminar with Gerald Briscoe, and they said, we're going to sign you, so don't do anything else. So he didn't have the connections that I was lucky enough to have when I was released. He didn't have relationships with people at other companies or anything like that. So for him to really take that chance and bet on himself and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. And he started from scratch, makes me even more proud of him. I watch him go out there, and he literally puts his heart and his soul and his entire body out there. He does these crazy dives and things that like a person his size, he's not a small guy, should not be doing with such ease. And it looks like he dies every single time. So just to see him again, also having the run of his life, and the fact that we get to do it together. I could gush about it forever, and you can see me like big smiling and blushing, but I'm just so proud of him, and I love him so much, and I can't wait to see what else he gets to do.
Yeah, I would love to see you two on top of Impact Wrestling, Knockouts World Champion and World Champion. That would be beautiful.
A real power couple.
Exactly. It would be beautiful to see all together. But you're doing so much around the wrestling world. Is there okay.
Are we there?
Yeah. Is there anyone, we've talked about in AEW, we talked about Impact Wrestling, who would you say is like past or present and your dream match that you always wanted to have or can still have?
Ooh, I think it's always going to be Trish Stratus. That was my idol. I loved to love her and then loved to hate her when you're supposed to hate her. And I actually just got to meet her for the first time WrestleMania weekend, and I was a mess. I was crying, and she was like, please don't cry. And I was like, I really can't help it. It was incredible. She is incredible. But I think that my dream match would always be her. In terms of something that could happen, I don't know. Like I said, it's Britt. Obviously Madison Rayne is one half of the Knockouts World Tag Team Champions. So she's one of my very best friends. And she's, the reason I have been doing everything I've been doing with Impact. Without her getting me in touch with Scott, I don't know that I'd be here. So I'd love to wrestle her as well, because we haven't gotten to do that since I've been to Impact now.
So my one final question for you, like you talked about in this interview, you got school going on, you're about to get married, you're one of the best professional wrestlers in the world today. How do you balance it all? Because I have twins, and I do interviews, I do a YouTube channel, and it's stressful, and I don't have any advice for anybody. What would be your advice for someone like me or anybody else watching?
Gosh, I don't know that I have any advice either. I think it's just when you're passionate about something, you don't stop. I love wrestling so much, and I've loved wrestling my entire life. I've wanted to do what I'm doing my entire life. So, I get tired, and I all day I've been like, I have 20 minutes, I'm gonna take a nap, and then I just close my eyes on the bed. But like, I love this. I live and I breathe this, and I have my entire life. So like I said, if I was to not be in the position I'm in, I don't think I'd be happy. And if I was to give up the position I'm in and not do all of these things, I think I'd regret it. So the tough times don't last forever, you know, and as long as you can put your nose down and just do the work and know that it'll pay off, then it'll pay off.
Great words. Thank you so much, Deonna, for taking the time out to speak with me. Please let the people know where they can follow you or support you. Any websites, your social media, let them know, please.
Yeah, everyone can follow me at Deonna Purrazzo on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, follow her. The links are in the description as well. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been my chat with Deonna Purrazzo, who will be the undisputed ROH Women's World Champion. And this has been SP3 of TalkSport and True Hill Heat, signing off until next time.